I felt so good last night, and I'm not going to be ashamed of it. The same way that sports people like feel good when their team wins or whatever,
Yeah.
that's what it felt like last night. I've been following these teams with a hatred, Elon Musk and Donald Trump, these two forces that you're like, well, it has to collapse. And I think I've been and listen, I'm still cynical. I honestly think what's going to happen, because I think Elon Musk is too powerful to just like dismiss entirely. I think if he doesn't, disappear from a drug overdose, I think Trump will capitulate something. They'll make up, and literally they've developed a following that's okay being like, yeah, he said he was a pedophile, but everything's okay now, and
Yeah.
it'll move on. I that's my cynical, but there was a glorious moment of like, oh my God, you just publicly call the guy that you helped, and you say that if it wasn't for you, he would have lost the election.
Yeah.
It's spectacular.
Yeah.
It's spectacular. Um,
I agree, but I also it's so hard for me. I think because we've been trained of like there's been these moments where you're like getting the high off of like this is so exciting and fun, and then it gets taken away from you, that I feel like I have a hard time going fully there, because while I'm in it, I'm like, oh, this is not gonna you know what I mean? It really is the and I think I've said this before, but it really is the thing of on Succession, where it's like you'd get that and the thing, you're like, they got him, they finally got Logan.
yeah,
and
yeah,
then
yeah.
and then Tom at some point's like, I've never seen this guy fucking lose. Like, and then when he does, spoiler alert, sorry, spoiler alert, if you haven't watched Succession, when he finally dies, it's so shocking, and you're just like, and you don't feel the like thing. You're like, oh, and not that I think we would still we would. That's not, but it is this thing of like, it doesn't feel like we're ever.
I
Gonna
would
get,
love to see that scene. You know that scene where the three kids are like trying to talk to him and he's on his
yeah,
deathbed. But it is the Trumps, and but they're all
yeah,
like they're all fine.
yeah. No, so I feel like it's this thing of like, it's like anytime I think that like this could
But come
mean,
on, feel joy. Let's talk through
I
what
do. I
could
mean,
be. What could be? Could there be? I mean, Elon Musk even he posted on his thing. He said like, guys, Trump's only gonna be president for 3.5 years. I'm gonna be around for 40, maybe plus years. And I'm like, this guy. What I like about it is this guy is fucking nuts in like a Kanye West way, and like it just seems it has no end. He's made it. He
yeah,
cannot recover. Kanye, who knows? Maybe he makes a good song and people listen to him again, but he can't ever. He can't. He goes too far, and
yeah, and
it's
also like you see like him, like they showed a picture of him at the beginning of all this, and now, and you're like, oh, that
you
this
thought
is.
you thought the Trump administration was hard on you.
You think you have
It's been
40 more years? You think you have 40 more years? Look at like that is someone who is stuff's happening. Like both, and I'm not just saying because of drugs or whatever. Like it's that manifest. Like something's happening where you're like, ooh, buddy, this has not been good to
It's
you.
hard to tell though. Like with these billionaires, I would love to know what we're talking the insane level of rich, of like what is their medical regimen? Because sometimes when these people stay alive for so long, I'm like, is there a world where your doctor comes by during every breakfast to do a checkup? Because some of these people, they stay alive for
Yeah,
so long, and you're like, how? All my grandparents have died, and they ate well, and you should be dead by now. So who knows? Who
yeah. Who
knows?
knows?
He might, or he's chaotic, but man, it was just. Did you scroll on Twitter at all? I know you're not fully on there,
I
but did
did.
you?
No,
Did
I
you?
did. I did. I haven't seen anything today though. Were there any new developments today? Because like I heard, that there was like a White House is scrambling and blah blah blah. But like now I've not heard anything since. So is there any new things from today?
I
Like,
just think what's more been happening today is like the conservative influencer attempt to spin this, which is fun to watch. Again, I do think it can be depressing when like it somehow works.
the conservatives, they're staying with Trump, right? or they
No, well, some of them.
or it's a
Listen,
mix?
there's some splits. Like Alex Jones, like is someone called him out and he said, "I'm not part of your cult," whatever. But then some of them are trying to say, "Hey, it's all fine." This guy says this fucking Dinesh Souza. Oh, some of these conservatives where it's like. I knew like the comedic intellectuals who were like, actually, they have some interesting points. And then you see this shit, you're like, no, they were scam artists the whole time.
Yeah.
Stop it. So this says, this is Dinesh D'Souza, who had like a documentary about how the election was stolen. It says, is this some sort of perverse scheme to force the release of the Epstein files? How great it would be to have a horde of bad guys publicly exposed. Then Trump and Elon break out the champagne. Elon says, told you I could get the Democrats to scream for that list. Laughter. I mean, I think sometimes I go back to and this is I blame the media and I blame human instinct. We blame like the actors in this, the Trumps and the Elons, and I'm like, the fact that we've cultivated a large population of people that are so stupid that they could read that and even be influenced by it all. That's the problem. You can't get rid of people doing crazy things, but the fact that our education, same thing with Harvard, like Trump was, I take Harvard's side ultimately versus Trump, but I go, hey, where did all these fuckers ruining our country go to law school? Oh, Harvard. Yeah. They all went to fucking Harvard. Yeah. So you created the means of your disposal.
I had a thought the other day of like, the Epstein files, if they finally came out in full, and it was none of the things we wanted, but it was just like Catherine Hahn. It was like someone like universally beloved person.
Catherine Hahn would definitely. I would
Catherine
do that.
Hahn and Audra McDonald, like we're running that, like just like something we were like, oh yeah, we couldn't handle it. Yeah, we couldn't. Yeah, we keep that from us.
Something that crazy, I would even make the hacky joke of, well, that wasn't on my bingo card.
Yeah,
because
it's none of the like Trump, Clinton, like it's like something where we're like, oh no.
I think what's just crazy is that it's obvious people only seem to the conservatives only care about like going after pedophiles when it serves their own interest, but no one's mad at Elon Musk no one's mad that the fact that people still use Epstein as like some kind of argument when both Democrats and Republicans have people in their employ who are friends with him is crazy. So the idea of like, yeah, we do need to release the list while there's pictures of Trump with Epstein and videos of him with Epstein and they were friends. It's just this weird thing of like, oh, nothing matters. This is where you become a nihilist politically, where you're like, clearly none of this matters. Everyone was friends with Epstein, and it gets brought up in a way where no one actually cares. People are mad at Elon, more the fact that he just mentioned it than fact that...
It almost feels like people must be like, on some level, they were like, oh, I had no idea he was friends with this many people. Like, people probably thought they were special getting on those planes. To his island, and then it was like everyone.
That's why Trump didn't want to release the list. He's like, oh my god,
oh, I wasn't a VIP. Oh, everyone was doing this. Like is that thing of like when you think you're closer to someone, you're like, oh, he was taking everyone there. Like, yeah.
Well, I can so remember. Like, I can remember not that long ago the last video from the P. Diddy White Party, and it was like it was everyone.
Yeah.
It was the party to be at. PR people were fired because they didn't get the invite to the White Party.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's some PR people who were like emailed their old clients like, hey, go fuck yourself, by the way.
Yeah.
I saved your life. You were begging me.
Yeah. There's a Real Housewife from back in the day that she worked with Diddy, and that was her full personality, is like whenever she was trying to like impress people was, if you look at old episodes, she's just being like, I party with Diddy. And you're like, that is so funny now to be like, her whole identity was like I party with Pete, and you're like, okay, cool. Like, that's just a very funny thing. And I don't think she was there any of those things, but her not knowing that was happening at those parties too, and making it her whole identity is very funny.
Well, that's the other thing. It's like, if I were to throw a party, maybe once in a while we play a board game, but sometimes we don't. I think it's similar where some people went to Epstein's Island for a barbecue. I don't think every single visit to Epstein's Island was necessarily that thing. Same with the white parties. And so I'm sure there's a bunch of people on that list that are like, oh my, I swear to God, I played cornhole on Epstein's Island.
Yeah.
Let me just see if there's any other, like a lot of people were saying, Elon Musk is like, he's a pedophile. And it's like, why did you bring his son? Why did you bring your son to the white? There's just so much of like, you knew when you were there.
But then he was like, well, he doesn't like little boys.
Sure.
His reasoning probably was like, yeah, he's not really going to be into my 4-year-old son. Like, it's, girls like his daughter when she was.
I mean, let's
15.
just another shout out with Theo Vaughn. Cool, you did a podcast with JD Vance the day of.
Also, a couple weeks ago, you're crying about Gaza and you're realizing like what's happening, and then you're like, yeah, let's throw JD Vance on there. Fuck, man.
Fuck
up.
you.
Fuck you opportunist fuck. Like it's so. I mean, unless he has JD Vance on there to question him about what's going on in Gaza.
Yeah.
Let's see if you're gonna have you post these videos of you realizing what's happening and you're crying and you're realizing you have empathy, and then you have this guy who's very much involved in it. And are you gonna be like, hey man, what the fuck's going on over there? What are we doing? And no, let's see. I mean,
And they please. They post a picture of them casually together as if the second Elon Musk didn't tweet that, like 10 people came in and said, okay, what's the plan? What's the deal? What are we, what's the take?
JD Vance has not said anything yet, right? Other than
but he literally, I mean,
he posted that photo.
He posted that photo and he was like, slow news day. What are you going to talk about?
I've heard, is this conspiracy or I'm like, because, I'm just scrolling Twitter like an idiot.
Yeah.
The conspiracy is that
no. The shooting was literally staged. It was.
No, I'm saying I've heard that JD is like, with Peter Thiel and then Elon. Like there's like a like because JD Vance hasn't come out and like against Musk or anything and said like,
Yeah, I mean, they're all. I mean, but this is what politics is. JD Vance right now is balancing like, I want to be president. I mean, that's number one goal. I imagine. Who knows? Maybe it's to be a billionaire, but I think these kind of guys, they want to be president, and so in his mind, he's probably like, so he couldn't be impeached, right? I mean, like, there's no way. And his advisors are like, well, maybe. And he's weighing how to come out on top somehow.
Can we just talk about? Imagine this where we are right now as a country. Imagine wanting to be president and being like, yeah, this is the time in American history I want to like put my name into. I want the history books.
I think it's the game. You know what I mean? Like, there's times that I go, when I'm stressed or I'm like, I feel like, oh, I'm miserable. And I go like, I'm like, you love this game. There's some game to what we do. For some of us, it's being president. For some of us, it's trying to revive classical playwrights. We all like have our own. But you know what I mean? Like, I don't disagree. Yeah. I'm like, they're addicted. That's the biggest thrill they have in life. It's not about like having fun. It's just they get some kind of fucking adrenaline. And what I love to see and what we never really get is like all these leaders, Bill Clinton and Donald Trump, if you are able to morally divorce yourself from everything, they could have a really good conversation together at the end of their lives. Like, oh my God. And then when you did that, whew, that was good. You really kind of distracted from those million people you killed overseas with that move. Like this is a game. This is a game to them. And the same
I
way
just
that I don't
wonder
think
if
Trump
those-
takes it personally that Elon Musk called him a pedophile. He just, it's like Succession, per your point. Like sometimes Logan Roy, he'd be mad, and other times he'd be like, oh, pretty good.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just so foreign. It's just so like, it just seems like it's so much bad stuff that you, yeah, I don't know. I just can't wrap my head around it. But
Let me just some more tweet. AP US history is going to be insane in 2100. People say that sometimes about like the history of it all, and sometimes I'm like, the founding fathers were insane too. They just don't
we had
talk about that
slaves.
part.
We owned people. Like you're like, there's been like bad pockets for sure.
They'll hide it the same way that like no one. When I first learned about Thomas Jefferson, they didn't talk about him having, raping his slaves. Mm-hmm. They just said like he gave a great speech that day.
Yeah,
and he had a great idea about planting.
Yeah.
Let me just see. I love someone like get Elon Musk on a podcast right now. And then sometimes some other news things happened, and it was like, well, we can't pay attention to this right now. Like Michelle Obama's daughter is dropping her last name. She's just going by Malia Ann. And it's one of those things I'm like, yeah, people are going to know who she is.
Yeah.
You can get rid of the Obama. They know. But not important.
I think when they're like Denzel Washington's son.
Yeah.
And he walked in the audition room and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah. And yet I'm hearing a press release about it. So I guess it wasn't that secret, was it?
I mean, I'm curious because like, I guess my question is just like, well, what does it mean for Elon Musk to like the White House could try to embarrass him. I'm sure they have videos of him like tripping balls and being weird. But and ultimately, like, what does it mean? People keep going like release the Epstein files as if like, what do you mean? There's going to be a piece of paper that says there are out there already testimonies about things that people have done. No one cares. The idea of the Epstein file is like some kind of like proof that's going to sway everybody. It's like it doesn't exist. And we've hit a point that even, God forbid, obviously, some kind of a video of the P tape, for example, to use a slightly nicer example. At this point, AI's too far.
I know.
It's too late. We're past the point of the leaked video.
Because also didn't Epstein have video of his place?
That's what they say. They say.
But then you're like, who has that? And like, what? Yeah.
They say this. I mean, there's other parts of history where they say, that's something people do. They get video footage to implicate you, and then you're like, sometimes my cynical part, I go, listen, if there's videos out there, things leak all the time. Beyonce can't keep an album hidden. Like there's so many moving parts here. How could you keep something hidden? But maybe it's possible.
Yeah.
Then some Democrats are saying stuff like, Matthew Iglesias says, I feel like Jeffries and Schumer should give Elon Musk a call and tell him about the Democratic Party's longstanding interest in electric cars, solar panels, space exploration, and balanced deficit reduction.
Shut up.
I mean,
I don't even. Do that, Chuck Schumer.
Okay, this is one. So Jack Pozo, who's like, I mean, tweets.
Yeah.
I don't know what this guy is, but tweets the worst.
Yeah.
He said, some of y'all can't handle two high agency males going at it, and it really shows. This is direct communication, phallocentric, versus indirect communication, gynocentric. I understand you aren't used to it.
Is this about Trump and Elon, or is this a downside review?
You're listening to The Downside.
The Downside.
With Gianmarco Soresi.